Last week, I put out a video called 2025 Journeying Through the Portal. Part of the point of the video is that 2025 is the year where your false self is going to start dying. Your protective self, your blame self, your shame self, your guilt self is going to be dissolving, and you're going to be making room for a much more connected, present, in the now, miraculous version of yourself. I'm about to show you a video. The video is me working with a woman named Sheila this last Wednesday on the Absolutely Everything Pass on a hot seat. What happened was her son actually asked a question for her. The question was something like, how do I get out of fight or flight? I brought him on and he said, I'm asking this for my mother. Sheila came on. She was someone I had not worked with. And she was so incredible at keeping her heart open that you get to watch her in real time go through this portal. You're going to watch her let go of regret and guilt and pain and grief and make room for something more. And on the second half, you're going to start to see her opening to revelation and miracles. I want to show you this because there's no way that you can watch this video and not have a lot of different revelations that will help you so much in this time. It's in a dimly lit house. Her lighting isn't great. It's just her being vulnerable and open. And I believe that this call is a great setup for you to heal so many things in your heart. As a reminder, January 25th, 2025, we're doing a live online event that's only $35 from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific. So whatever time zone you're in, adjust that. It's called 2025 Journeying Through the Portal. Our old events we used to charge hundreds for, but we're making this almost nothing so that you can show up and a lot of people can show up with a big open heart and actually create change. Join me and like-minded magical individuals as we shift so many aspects of ourselves. As you go into 2025, you do not want to miss this event. That's why I made it so cheap. We would love to work with you and create space so that you understand what's going on. See, 2025 is the purging of a false self. If you don't know what's going on, you're going to be like, what's wrong with me? Why am I feeling so much pain? And you're going to be grabbing all these addictions and keeping the control going. This is about purging the false self and making room for a magical version of you. So you have to know what's going on so you can move from control to surrender. So that'll be happening at our event. And as a reminder, it's free if you're on the Absolutely Everything Pass. And if you join us on the Absolutely Everything Pass, you can do hot seats with me like the one you're about to see. You can do live guided meditations with me, which we do almost every Sunday. You can hear new talks. You can watch all of our past courses. You can join us there. So if you do that, the event is free with the Absolutely Everything Pass for $39. So either way, we're happy to have you and we're happy to work with you. Make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel too, because we have so many new videos coming, new sketches, new guided meditations, new big open-hearted things. We would love to work with you. But for right now, I want to dare you to open your heart, maybe take a journal out and write some notes down for yourself, because when you watch Sheila open her heart, you are going to see a shift that gives you permission and freedom and inspiration to create a new space for yourself to do the same. It's time for us to let go of our false selves, our past selves, and everything we were holding on to that are not us, to make room for what we are. And as you're about to see, Sheila does that. So please give her some love and support in the comments and enjoy this one-on-one with Sheila as she journeys through the portal herself. Thanks for being with us. Enjoy. Check out this simple question. How do I get out of fight or flight? I can't sleep at night. Would you like to talk to me about where this question is coming from or examples of how it's playing out for you?
I've had a lot of trauma in my life
Mm.
from childhood up to just recently. Um, I just recently had a very bad seizure and broke my facial bones, and I have two brain bleeds.
Mm. Wow.
And I, I just can't. I can't sleep. I'm up. I'll be up for 3 or 4 days, and then I will just pass out from sheer exhaustion
Yeah.
and all of these things that it just seems like there's so many triggers in life that happen that I feel guilt about.
Mm.
And I know that guilt and shame is coming from my childhood, but I don't know how to get rid of it. I don't know how to stop it. And you know, I'm one of those people that can wear a happy face and act like everything's okay, but be falling apart inside.
Mm.
And I'm tired of living that way. I want to I want to live a life of happiness.
I hear you. Well, let's work on this. One of the things I just feel is obvious to say that's here is sadness, right?
Right.
So I want you to be able to feel that for a second. Take a deep breath in and just let all this grief that's here, just let it be seen for a second. Let it be felt. Like you don't even have to go into the future for a second. You don't have to have a solution. I just want to be a space right now because I can see it's right on the edge and it's ready to come out. There's some tears here, and I'm sure there's been a ton in the past too. But if I just look from right here, right now, it's an interesting thing to say, I want to be happy. We all do want to be happy. But I just want to point out in this second, it feels like Source or the universe or God would like you to feel sad. And I just want that to be allowed too. Because one of the things I believe we're moving to is from trying to be happy by manipulating our circumstances to how we want to feeling what we feel, right? Because a lot of people will go, I want to be like back 20 years ago when I had had everything perfect, and I want to be back in a different time. And right now, there's a lot of letting go happen, and a lot of people are trying to grab motivation and ignoring that letting go is trying to happen, or listening internally is trying to happen, right? So I hear you want to be happy, and I honor that you want to be happy. And I just want to, for a second, our wishing we were anything different than we were, to just let's put a pin in it for a second and see if there's true happiness under feeling what's here. So, for everyone watching, really ask yourself, what am I feeling now versus how do I get to a different feeling, right? So, Sheila, tell me just what you're feeling right now.
Deep sadness.
Yeah, take a deep breath in. That is allowed. There's a huge, because I think it's not just the injuries and different things you've been going through and the lack of sleep. There's also a mourning, I feel, a grieving, whether it's of physical people or just your past. I just feel there's a deep sadness here and a mourning and a grieving that's here. Would you say that's accurate?
That's very accurate.
Yeah. Tell me what's here right now. There's sadness. Does the sadness say anything? Is it missing anything? Is it mourning anything? Is it
It's the sadness is mourning the loss of my sister.
mm,
She passed away June 2nd.
mm,
Um, the other part of the sadness is that uh, a physical altercation took place between myself and a, a, a very long term an ex,
mm.
and um, I feel like there was something I should have done differently or could have.
So regret. Regret
Yeah,
is okay. Regret, what if I told you regret is a protective mechanism? It goes, we gotta, it's a familiar thing. By the way, everyone watching, we all can find things we regret, right? And we can grab it to have the familiarity of our past, to feel guilt, to feel pain, so that we don't have to expand. And regret is a great way to just grab on that. We can all find something we did wrong. I mean, we make millions of choices every day. So every one of us can go back 10, 20, a week, whatever. You go, that was the worst decision I ever made. And then we can go to the familiarity of being mad at ourselves. I was working with a client yesterday and we learned something really, really profound. Because she grew up in a family that had a very angry, vengeful God, and also was one of many children, and the only way she could get attention was to be punished, she actually associates love to punishment, right? Like she doesn't know love through expansion or just being. It's through the familiarity of punishment. So we were working and we're talking, and we realized that's a reason sometimes she might overeat, because then she can shame herself and punish herself and feel like she's back at home. And I
Right.
say that because we do this with guilt, we do this with regret, we do this with resentment, we do this with blame, right? So there's all these things that we grab onto to protect us from the truth of what we are, our expansion. And so the ego can stay in regret, it can stay in these things. And I'm not saying the regret isn't sincere or anything, but one of the things I also notice is I want to offer you, there's overwhelm here. And what I mean by that is there's a list of things that we're regretting, right? Or mourning, right? I can feel like there's
Right.
sister. Let's go through them one at a time for a second. Your sister that passed away, I'm so sorry, by the way. What was
Thank you.
what was her name?
Debbie.
Debbie. For a second, before we just jump right to the regret of the physical altercation, let's feel what we're feeling about Debbie for a second.
She was my confidant. She was always there for me.
Mm,
You know, we went through very similar painful experiences growing
mm.
up. And, you know, it's like I feel like I've lost, I just, like I've lost myself. Like I just,
Oh,
like part of me is just gone. And I don't know how to replace that.
yeah, I hear you. Take a deep breath in and release it. I want you to know you have definitely lost a part of yourself that connected to Debbie and that had that, right? Like that's going with this grieving. And that's needed, that needs to be felt and that needs to be there. And I want to also offer a perspective that also, I want you to hear this, and that we honor Debbie and the loss of Debbie and the loss of what we're losing in this. It also could be, as a silver lining, the birth of the meeting you that you haven't seen because we had the connection to Debbie, right? And we've all connected to so many things on our journey. Some people do to a relative, some people do to food, some people do to alcohol. And even though it's easy to blame those things, it's also very easy to just say thank you to those things for being there on our journey before we started learning more and more about what we truly are. So you have lost a part of yourself. And I want to also offer, if this is okay, I want you to just be open to, you're also birthing a part of yourself too. You're birthing something we've never seen. Having
Okay.
Debbie has always been available to have this confidant you could go to. And that was necessary all the way up until now. And one of the things that we don't understand is sometimes life takes that away from us. And I do believe in my heart that where Debbie is, she's doing okay without me knowing anything. I just believe that when people pass, I believe that where they are is probably better than this chaotic earth. And so
Absolutely.
so we're looking at you now, right? So we thank Debbie for being here all the way up until this now, and that she's here in your heart now. And you connected with her on a physical level. And now we're going to let go of your physical attachment to her to connect to her much deeper. In other words, one of the things life is doing is it's creating space for you to go much more inward. And in your inwardness, I believe you can connect to people that have passed away. Much people try to connect to them on the physical level. So they keep their clothes and they keep, you know what I mean, the ashes, or I knew a woman who kept her passed away husband's magazine subscription going, and the garage just started filling up. But I was like, that hymn's not here. So you don't have to do that, right? And I think that when we try to connect to the physical, we actually miss out on connecting to them because they're not in the physical. So
Right.
imagine one thing that's trying to happen is the birth of you that isn't as connected and attached to the physical world first, but a birth of you that's starting to be present for everything that's inside and everything that hasn't been seen and everything. There's a little girl in there that hasn't been seen fully because we've always had Debbie, we've always had our circumstances, we've always had confidants, right? And now there's this big beautiful light that's shining on her right now. And so it goes, we need to remove the self that was attached to Debbie in physical form so we can hear this girl, right? We need to remove that for a second, that the way that you knew it, to make room for this little girl that's in here and your connection to God, right?
Right.
Have we really had a good release of Debbie? Have we had I know you've probably had the funeral, but have you and yourself had a full release or a big release of Debbie?
Quite a few times. It's like
Yeah.
I just can't. It's like I'm stuck in that mode.
Yeah. Okay, so I want you to know this process could take a while, right? So we want to not do it so it's gone completely. We'll let life decide how far it goes. But have you ever just done this? Take a deep breath in, breathe in, release it, and just say, thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Debbie.
I miss you, Debbie.
I miss you, Debbie.
Yeah, take a deep breath in. Feel that. That's beautiful because this grief is in there, right?
Yes.
A lot of us don't want to feel this level of grief, so it can be easy to shut down. It can be easy to run to regret. It can be easy to go to blame. It can be easy to grab onto someone else, right? So just this grief is here, and the good news is it's all so loud in here that we can't avoid it anymore. It's just going to happen. It's going to be released. So some relief just happened, right? Let's say this too. Let's say, I love you, Debbie.
I love you, Debbie.
And take a deep breath in. And on the exhale, I want you to just say, goodbye, Debbie. Yeah, feel that. Good. That's good. That was in there. Yes. Yes. All of that was in there. Wow. Huge release there. That was really good. I know there's more, but I feel the depth of that release was very big. Do you have any more? Do you want to say it again?
I want to tell her that I love her and I'm
Yeah.
sorry if I failed her.
Oh my gosh, what pressure you have on yourself. I'm so thankful you said that because we can look at that in a second. You believe it's possible to fail someone.
Yes.
Wow. Do you believe Debbie was incapable of her own connection to herself?
No.
No,
She
she was.
she was very connected to herself. She was very connected to God. She was she always had kind words to say to everyone, and she was just I called her a peacemaker.
Wow.
She was just a phenomenal person.
So do you think that she feels that you failed her in any way?
I feel like she thinks I failed as a person,
Okay.
that I didn't make the mark.
Okay. Are you sure if she was here right now, would she say that?
No,
No?
no. I don't think she would say that. I think she would just tell me to keep on going, you know. She
Yeah.
would pat me on the back and tell me that God's here for me to keep on going.
Beautiful. Would you, for her, in honor of her, would you honor that?
Yes.
Would you honor that the higher, especially the her after she passed away? I guarantee you that her would sure never talk in terms of failed. I believe it with all my heart that once you free yourself of your own inner baggage, you just want everyone to know that it's fine. You forgive them, you love them, you're sorry. I mean, I just believe that's all the other side is. I believe that with all my heart, that the higher is just love. And it's our egos and our self-blame and our attachment to self-blame and everything that is transcended when we die. I believe that very much. Right. So I want you to be open to, in honor of Debbie, receiving that you did not fail her.
Okay.
Okay. Would you be open to doing that? Because I think that I believe very much if you talk to a medium, if we were able to connect to her, she would say that.
Okay.
Okay. And it doesn't, by the way, even if she did feel you failed her, you always still did the best you've ever done
Right.
with what you knew. So this self beating up is not serving anyone. Okay? Does that make sense?
Okay.
This
Yeah.
this thing that we all do, we all beat ourselves up so much. And we aren't serving anyone with that. We aren't taking anything higher. We're not, it does serve a purpose to the ego at one point. Like there's a protection. You don't have to own your feelings if you are blaming yourself right away, if you shame yourself. We all have a little thing we get out of this without knowing it, right? But I just want to if you honor her and the higher her and the truest self, right? Can you feel the forgiveness for yourself right now?
Yes.
Receive that for a second. Yes, you're making change in the world right now just by doing this. And I hope everyone watching is getting something out of this too, that like we're not doing much for everyone else by beating ourselves up. And if there is something someone's getting out of that for you beating yourself up, they're not someone you might want in your life.
Right. Yeah.
Right? If
Absolutely.
someone is enjoying you beating yourself up or wants you to feel shame all day, I would recommend creating some space from that person.
I agree.
Yeah. So you're doing great, Sheila. We're really getting some stuff out here. You have big purges, right, that need to happen and they require something that you have. I want to just commend your courage. Despite how many things you've been through, despite losing Debbie, despite injuries and a fight with an ex, all these things, something in you was willing to do this call with me tonight. Can you believe that? Like something in you is more powerful than every bad thing that's ever happened to you. You didn't go to alcohol, you didn't go to drugs, you're here,
Right.
right? Like a lot of people aren't doing these calls. They're not interested in this. This is just airy fairy fluff, nothing stuff. And I just want to commend something in you as more powerful than everything that's ever happened to you.
Thank you. I
Right?
believe that.
Yeah, that's courage. So you have courage right now, and courage happens when we have circumstances happen to us and we go, I'm going to change myself because of these circumstances. I'm going to find the truth of what I am. I'm going to use I'm going to bring them in. I'm going to feel my grief. I'm going to feel regret. I'm going to feel everything. And then I'm going to find what isn't true about these things and then find what is, right? So take a deep breath in again. Let me ask you a question. Is the regret as loud right now? Even though we didn't talk about it, is it as loud?
No.
No, isn't that interesting? We're always wrong about what we're triggered by. In other words, Debbie was a huge ton of grief. I watched your release. That was like vomiting invisibly, right?
Right.
And so that energy was just a big clump of painful energy, right? And then from that energy, we don't release it, so we go to regret, right? Or we go to blame and we go, what else feels like this? So we're always wrong about why we have the pain there. You know,
Okay.
and so I just want you to notice that we didn't even go into regret and you feel less regret. And what one of the things that I want people to get from that is you will feel less regret and guilt if we are willing to grieve our past selves and our past lives. In other words, a lot of us think of what regret does. It doesn't own. Regret is a way to renegotiate with your past and not own where you are now, right? If I keep looking back at the past, I almost feel like I can change it, right? If
Yes.
I keep like, but we can't, right? So then regret is the negotiation with grieving your past. Does that make sense? Like,
Absolutely.
and so instead of just being like with the fact that that isn't necessarily who you are or in your life anymore, we're trying to negotiate. So it's a bargaining to the inevitable truth that you're going to be grieving,
Right.
right? So instead of regretting your past, and even if it's the thing you've been regretting, could we say goodbye to it?
I would like to.
Okay. Do you want to tell me what it is you've been regretting? And let's see if we can just say goodbye to that part of your life.
I think that my biggest regret is not spending enough time home with my children.
Okay.
I was a workaholic until my body failed me.
Hmm.
And that's all I knew, just keep on working and everything will get better. You just
Yeah.
keep working.
Yes. So you did spend some time with them, right?
Yes.
How old were they? Was their whole childhood? When was the time you were working so much?
Um, the majority of their childhood.
Okay. Do you think it's also possible that you just miss when they were young?
Yes.
I was just thinking and talking to a client today, doing a one-on-one today about my daughter. I remember, and I'll probably be emotional telling you this. I remember her walking into my room when she was just starting to walk. And I could just I was still asleep and I could see her little silhouette walk in. And I just saw her little kid's big head, that was almost faster than her feet, She was like,
Yeah.
and I just saw her little silhouette come in and she was able to talk. So it was like, Dada, I woke up to that and just was like, I remember feeling God in that moment. And she's 7 now. She's 7.5 right now.
Wow.
And there's a part of me that just has regret about times I didn't pay attention or wasn't perfect as a dad, but
Yeah.
also just go, man, I miss that moment I felt, and I miss when she was 2. And I love where she is now too, and I'll miss this. So it's one thing to go, I can be mad at myself about that time and renegotiate it and try to get back to being her dad at 2 and find a way to be mad at myself, or I can just face the fact that everything is changing and my daughter's bigger and just go, oh, I miss those moments and goodbye to those moments, right?
Right.
And can you bring that up? And maybe even that almost hits on what the other person was asking about empty nesting.
Yes. That's
Right.
extremely hard.
Yes. You probably felt both through your work and being a mother a sense of importance, significance, mattering,
Absolutely.
right? And do you feel less of that right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't even feel like a normal person.
Yes, I hear you.
I don't want to leave my house. I avoid human contact as much as possible. And
Yeah.
it's because I just have this fear, this just I don't know. I don't know that I'm gonna mess it up. That I've made so many mistakes in my life. I'm gonna mess this up too.
Yes. Well, I want to bring some good news to you. This time isn't any different than that time, except for the fact that this time you're carrying a bunch of suitcases of the old time because we haven't grieved it. So, one of the reasons you feel like not going out, you feel like you don't matter as much and you're lost on what to do and don't want to connect with people is because this you right now is carrying suitcases that we haven't said goodbye to, meaning what you were as a mother when they were young, what you were when you were working, how you used to want to go out. So imagine you're just carrying a backpack of all of that. And the problem isn't where you are in this time. The problem is the backpack. Did this make sense so far? Because
Yes.
when your kids were 5, you might not have been feeling as much regret from 20 years before, right? You might not have been
Right.
feeling, you get what I'm saying? And when
Yes.
you're kids, we go everywhere. We want to talk to everyone. Why? Because the only reason is we have no backpack. Like kids are guilt-free. They're just like, they just start and everything is a forward adventure. And then we
Yeah.
thing and we grab literal things, physical things. We grab stuff. You go, oh, did I make a mistake then? I believe very much that the second half of our life is here to heal the first half. Did this make sense?
Yeah, that makes
The
sense.
first half of your life, the first 40, 50 years are a buildup and, accumulating, and we have stuff and things and all this stuff. And then we got these backpacks of all the stuff. Now, then when we get to this older age and we start taking stock, and you go through a first phase of regret and guilt because you have all this stuff to look back on. And that also is home to us because maybe we had parents that felt guilt or made us feel guilt, right? So, what I want to do with you is we start saying goodbye to aspects of the backpack. So, we did that once with Debbie. And what
Right.
happened? You had a huge release, right?
Right.
So, we have to, for a second, take in. I mean, obviously, at least one of your kids is so close to you that he asked a question for you and we met him. He's sitting here with you on the call.
Yes, he
Right.
is.
So would he be happy? Let me ask you this. Would your son be happy with you feeling regret for times you weren't with him? Because
No.
would it make him happy?
No.
No. You can even ask him, would you like me to feel?
Would you be happy if I had regret for times I wasn't with you?
No.
He said no.
Would you ask him what he would like for you to feel?
What would you like for me to feel?
Peace.
Peace.
Okay. So if we don't honor that, you'll feel regret about this time when you,
Yes.
because here's how you can make up for that time. Not that you need to make up, because also I'm sure he also sees you were doing the best you could. You were also working your butt off and supporting the family, right? So
Yeah.
you also were doing that. If you only spent time with him, maybe no one was eating, right?
That could be.
Right? So you could be with them, but you were all starving. So they got to be under a roof and have food because of you, right?
Right.
Right. And it sounds like he's doing inner work with you and he's on AEP, right?
Yes.
So it sounds like you did exactly the right thing,
Thank you.
right? It sounds like a wonderful son.
He is.
I hope so much that when I'm older, Vivi is suddenly on some online spiritual self-help show and helping me out, right? That'd be amazing. Right? That sounds like an incredible bond. So I want you to not overlook that and let the regret be louder than the fact that your son is right here with you and telling you, I would love for you to feel peace. That's a son that loves you very much.
Yes.
And
I
if
know
you,
that.
yeah, and if you would receive his request and start feeling peace, he will feel more peace because we all love our mom and want them to just feel peace. Right? So you have an assignment now from your son. Instead of trying to be there, this is moms and empaths want to make everyone else happy. And then they feel regret that they weren't there enough and missed out or whatever. And then, but you've also probably trained your son, or he was born with this huge open heart and wants you to have peace too, because he'll suffer if you don't feel peace.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So we have to start practicing receiving peace. And peace is the highest, a very high frequency. I like peace. I want you to notice peace and happiness are different,
Yes, they are very different.
right? Tell me why you think they're different.
I think they're different because peace is something that only you can get, that is received from God. And I think happiness is something that we bring about when we have fulfilled those things that we wanted, that God wanted us to do.
That's really good. And happiness has a high kind of feeling, and peace has kind of a whole now kind of feeling, don't you think?
Yes, absolutely.
So, one of the things I want to get you to do is when you're feeling low, don't try to get happy, but instead feel peace. Because peace is much more expansive than happy.
Okay.
Because people are much more happy about their individual circumstances. Someone could win the lottery and be like so happy. But if someone goes for the lottery and someone else wins it, this person's sad, but they're not happy someone else is happy. They're just, it's about my ego, is what happiness is sometimes. Right. And I'm not saying happiness doesn't come with peace. I'm just saying when we aim for happy, it's the ego trying to make me as a small self individual happy, but peace is like the space and it's a now thing. So like people that try to chase happiness, they'll go drink. People that try to chase happiness, they'll just eat a bunch of dessert, right? Like it's just get my feelings a certain way, no matter what I sacrifice to do that.
Right.
Peace is kind of the truth. It's a if you read David Hawkins, peace is a much higher frequency than circumstantial happiness. It's like I don't know the number, but it's 700 or 800 or something like that. It's a very, very high score. So we're gonna notice peace, and there's a different way to chase happiness than there is to receive peace. In fact, I just kind of showed you the difference by saying chased versus receive.
Right.
Chase, you go get happiness through circumstances, right? Peace, I want you to receive it. In other words, you're in a room that's peaceful right now. There's no war zone in the house you're in. There's no bad guy in there. The house is safe. Your son's there with you. It's actually a room full of peace. But we often don't receive the peace that's here. You know what I mean? We'll find our chaos and bring our own war with ourselves and find regret and problems and resistance in a room full of peace. And
Why do we do that?
because our childhood was also like that and home to us is chaos,
That makes sense.
right? Home to a pattern is chaos. Was your childhood very difficult?
Yes, extremely.
And you're so honest, you're so open. This is such a phenomenal hot seat. You're doing so great. Let me ask you this. If I told that example of working with a client the other day and that they found punishment was love because they were one of many, many kids, and they found when the parents, there was like 13 kids involved, right? So when the parents, you can't get any attention. So being rebellious or just getting punished or doing something, at least you get attention. So she could falsely link that punishment is love, right?
Right.
If we go to your childhood, what do you think would be the word that says you falsely, egoically associate it to love?
Control.
Control equals love,
Yeah.
right? Now, is peace and control the same thing?
Totally opposite.
Totally opposite. So one of the things that we're trying to do is peace is becoming love, and the false association of love to control is being removed in this time for all of us. And unfortunately, a way that it gets removed is by getting louder and louder and louder until it's no longer in our control. Our control is no longer in our control. And as you said, you've been trying to get over this. You're trying to control circumstances. You're trying to, right? It's not working anymore. In the old days, it worked,
Yeah.
right? In the old days, the consciousness of the world was lower. So you could have negative thoughts. You could be a crappier person. You could control things. You could feel regret. and you didn't notice it was a problem. You just felt it normally and it was just kind of there subtly. Now it's like loud and exaggerated and crazy. So your control is losing control. And your false sense of love is collapsing to be replaced by the true sense of love, which is peace.
Makes sense.
Right? So the you that was loved through control in your childhood, that's the self that's dying. And by the way, I bet that self always had Debbie to go to even in childhood, right?
Yes, we had each other.
You had each other. So when Debbie passes away, all of a sudden, all the control from your childhood that we never got to look at finally can be seen. Did that make sense?
Yes.
Because even then, you had the safety. Like I didn't feel safe with my dad, so I had my mom, right? And then when my mom passed away, I had to start really looking at my wounds that I didn't even notice were there because I had that bond. And then that also manifested through codependency in relationships and friendships. Like everyone see me, please, so that I'm not hurt by my dad again. Isn't this weird how that happens?
Yes.
Right? So take a deep breath in and release it. And I want to see if you can hold space and feel the two loves, the idea of love through control and the idea of love through peace, right? And we grew up, most of us grew up with love through guilt, control, regret. And then we keep it going because we don't, even if our parents aren't with us anymore, we still grab it, right? We grab control, we grab regret, so we can recreate our childhood because that was all we knew. So
Right.
many people grab shame. They grab the way that they were. They, whatever. And that's all I know because otherwise we think I'm dead, but it won't be you're dead. It'll be you are being born. And the you that you had to be because your parents had egos and problems and issues. So you had to create your ego to match them. That's what's dying in this time. And
It's very painful.
it is, but you can handle it. And it'll be less painful if you have the awareness of what's going on and we get intentional because you've only seen what's leaving, but you've never had a what you're aiming towards. Does that make sense? Like you're always just going, this is falling apart, this is falling apart, I'm falling apart. You almost think I'm dying, right? But we
Yeah.
never replaced it with where you're moving towards. And this is what I call and what a lot of people talk about as have you ever heard anyone in the spiritual community talk about 3D person versus 5D? Has this been anything you've heard?
No.
It's coming up a lot lately. And whether you agree with this premise or not, I just want to point out that you are birthing you from a higher dimension. In other words, you're starting to see a false you that was created, but was a true you at the time until you have a higher awareness. So the highest most people knew is just I am what I do. I am how I protect myself from my childhood. I am how I look good so I don't get yelled at or hit or whatever, right? And then we go to a higher dimension now and go, well, those parents aren't running you anymore. So you don't have to move based on control like they did or control to stop them from hurting you. We now receive for a second the peace that's here. Can you, for a second, just receive the peace that's here? And you might just feel some pain and you might also feel some expansion. But I want you to know, whatever that pain is, I want you to become emerging with the peace to become a space of love for the control energy that's collapsing, right? So there's a you that is dying, but that's not you, right? This,
Okay.
yeah, this you connects more to the now. The you that's birthing is going to have less past and future, less control, less regret, less guilt and more of a connection to source. And by the way, this is a big shift too. You're going to also stop seeing yourself through the eyes of people with egos. You're going to see yourself through the eyes of God. So no
That
matter,
would be wonderful.
isn't that amazing? Because you're so
Yeah.
loved, right? But we often try to get love through other people, and usually people that don't approve of us, right?
Right.
And And then we keep trying to fight for that person, but the real truth is you might be evolving past that person, right? Or doing this kind of inner work. So I want to offer you to take a deep breath in and just feel the peace that actually exists in that room, in this space that you're in right now, and see if you can feel it. And everyone do this. See if you can feel the peace that's here.
Yes, I feel it.
And there might be some feelings that come up, but I want you to notice anything that comes up, anything that feels off, anything that's hurting. Who is that? Do you have any thought of who that is? If anything is hurting while you're feeling peace in the now, if anything feels off, who do you think that is?
I don't know, but I feel like there is someone that's hurting.
Yes. Can you be open to the fact that instead of going, it's this situation with this person, it's this regret, it's just the slow demise of the control love you, of the you that needed control to feel love and felt only loved when you were controlled.
Makes sense.
That's what's dying. A you that you created to protect yourself, but isn't your true essence. And what's birthing is your true essence. A you that's seen through the eyes of God. A you that's loved unconditionally. Yes, feel that. Now, what you're feeling is a combination of some pain releasing, but also tears of joy. I want to offer people you can also release through tears of joy. When you get intentional and you move to a higher portal, you start to feel so good that the tears that come out are the old story. But it's not that you have to shed through all this pain, it's that you're so happy and connected, right? So that's what's birthing you finding, and it'll take some time, but we're going to get in. We'll even talk about how to be intentional about this, how to make sure we spend this year being intentional to choose the peace you and dissolve the control you.
Okay.
Because one of the things happening in this time is the end of all of our control. We'd rather have that because the more surrender we're in, the more God works through us,
Right.
right? Control is actually, in some ways, the avoidance of God. In other words, when we're controlling everything, we're saying, I run this, right? Not, I think God has this. It's like, I have to. And it's almost always out of fear. If I don't run what they think of me, then they'll judge me and hurt me. If I don't control this situation, I'll be abandoned, right? All control is out of underlying deep terror fears. But if you move into the peace you, all those fears will be dissolved. So the control dissolves too. Did that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So take another deep breath in and receive the peace that's here. This is so much better than the ego trying to get happy to avoid sad. Peace will bring up sad. It's all emotions are allowed in peace. Fear, peace, loss, lack, everything is in that. You feel that peace?
Yes.
You feel this, it's more fulfilling and it's a slower process, but it's more foundation based than trying to get happy, like just going to have a drink or being distracted or, right?
Right.
Let me ask you this question. This is a big question. The peace that you're feeling, do you know that you deserve it?
No.
Okay. I want you to be open to you can't feel this peace until you know you deserve it. because some people will decide they're the guilt story. So they're going to just shoot down the piece and avoid it and keep the control going. So they can keep shaming themselves so they can keep being the childhood and the past story, right? That's the way the ego messes with itself. It goes, I don't deserve abundance. I don't deserve true love. People sabotage really good relationships because they don't want that level of intimacy and being seen. People sabotage major money. Lottery winners go broke because deep down their belief is they don't deserve that money. So they overspend it. They go broke right away because they think who they are is the childhood story who had a parent that said money is the root of all evil or something. So they sabotage it, right?
Right.
We can do that with everything. Like, I don't deserve the God me, right? And I want you to know the God you, the peace you, is you. So it's up to us to decide we're ready for that. And when you feel ready, I want to offer you, even if you don't believe it yet, let's just fake it till we make it for a second and say, I deserve to feel peace.
I deserve to feel peace.
And any story of regret or guilt that comes in, I want you to not let it in there. I want you to not let that be more true than that you deserve this, right? Like it can go and the peace will dissolve it when we receive it. God will heal the guilt and the regret. You feeling that? I want you to, this could be a sentence you write down and put in a picture frame and have all over the house. You could put it all over the house. I deserve to feel peace. Because the old story and the childhood you thinks you don't deserve amazing things, right?
Yes.
So we sabotage amazing things, right? So you get in your life what you believe you deserve. And we can decide to believe we deserve magic, healing, expansion, God's love, surrender, full on healing of everything stuck in the body, right? Could you decide, do you believe any other person on the planet doesn't deserve that?
No.
No. So if everyone else gets to have the benefit of changing their mind, of changing their lives, becoming a better self, becoming a freer self, becoming a more loved self, if every person gets that, do you get that too?
Yes.
Yes. So it's a fact you deserve this, right?
Yes.
Okay, so say that out loud. It's a fact that I deserve peace.
It's a fact that I deserve peace.
And today is the first day that I fully will choose peace.
And today is the first day that I will fully choose peace.
Yeah. Oh, that feels so good, doesn't it?
Yes.
And I want you to not be a perfectionist about this. In other words, if guilt kicks in and you go through some stuff tomorrow,
Mm.
it's fine. There's a process. I want you to picture if this is day one of going to the gym. We don't lose 50 pounds the first day, right?
Right.
Right. So I want you to know this is a practice that we're going to be intentional about.
Okay.
Okay. Do you happen to meditate at all?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Tell me what that's like for you.
It's usually a lot of crying, and
Good.
um and then afterwards I will feel, some relief from that deep release of crying. But then there's that monkey mind that comes that you don't deserve that peace.
Right. Isn't that amazing? So I want you to know when you meditate now, the monkey mind is allowed to say that, and you're still going to receive it. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yes.
I want the mind to be able to shoot down everything and you still keep connecting. Does this make sense? That its act out and its fight will be to sabotage this because the more peace you receive, the more that voice dies. Did that make sense? So
That makes sense.
it's like the bad guy at the end of a movie when they're caught, right? When the bad guy's caught at the end of a movie, he's really loud, right? Because he's
Yeah.
And when you meditate and you listen and you receive peace, the ego is caught. So it's going to come in big. It's going to be like, you should regret this and you don't deserve it because of this thing you did. And how could a mother that whatever was working and not with her kids, she doesn't deserve peace. All of that's going to come in. And you still become the peace for it. And you just become peace and let both go crazy, right? Let the peace be there and let the voice go crazy. It will pass because every second a voice that's limiting comes up and you don't cater to it, it lost its grip a little more. And the more you listen to the peace and let the peace come in, the more the peace runs the show. So if you're meditating and a voice says, you don't deserve it, you should stop meditating. And that moment you go, you're right, and you get up, that voice runs you now. But if the voice goes, you don't deserve it, stop meditating, and you keep listening, it
Hmm.
goes, I said you're a worthless blah blah blah, and you don't deserve this, and you're not worthy of this. And you just keep listening, and you keep listening to the combination of that voice, but also the space and the peace that's here. You will become a big space of peace that that voice will leave. And you're not going to believe how much things outside of you match the peace you're going to see the world change. You're going to see people around you shift. You're going to see your peace not only be peace, but really brilliant ideas and God working through you and almost healing other people through you, even if you don't say anything. You're going to start learning how much the world mirrors you. You might suddenly embody peace and see wars end. I mean, it gets really crazy, right? And even if I'm wrong, why not feel the peace in yourself, right?
Right.
And bring that peace to the world because then you're holding a higher vibration on the planet and you will speed up and counterbalance other people that are in chaos and bring us to a higher level. Because what's trying to be shed is all of our control love for peace love. That's trying to happen, right? That's going to happen. And if you understand what's happening, like through this dialogue, you're going to be intentional and excited about it,
Makes sense.
right? So, what you just said, that peace love, that's what we all want. But we've been busy seeking control of. I feel off, so I'm going to control it with alcohol. I feel off, so I'm going to control it with gossip or, being mad at myself.
Right.
We are here to bring peace to our control self, which will bring peace to everyone's control self. And control doesn't work in peace.
I wouldn't think it could.
No. So now do you understand that a you is birthing, not dying?
Yes.
Yes. Are you open to this next year? Like we're just starting 2025, that 2025 is about you meeting your truest self that you've never met before for the first time this year.
Yes.
I want you to tell me how you're going to be intentional about that. Like we're gonna work on this together. But just for a minute, tell me, in fact, do you know what my Kalego exercise is?
No.
Okay, I'm going to tell you an exercise that's going to require your open heart, your willingness to do it wrong, your creativity, okay?
Okay.
Okay. And if you connect to the peace, it'll do it through you.
Okay.
I want you to picture that this call we're doing was a year ago. And it's been a year now of you working on connecting the peace you. And I want you to picture that after the call, whatever way you want to do this. So you're going to tell me what happened in the last year that you might say, this is just an ad lib to give you an example. I want you to do it how it comes through for you. But imagine if you were like, Kyle, after that one-on-one, the next morning I listened to silence and I connected to the peace more. And I saw the control come up and I just kept watching it and observing it and loving it. And I did this every day and I got intentional about noticing the peace all day. And I stopped bringing in vices into my life that stopped me from feeling the peace. I noticed when I was in my control, I'd flip through and look for control on whatever, online or on TV, but this time I didn't anymore. I got really intentional about finding the peace me. I eat more healthy. I walk in nature. I drink more water. I feel more love. I feel forgiveness for everything from my past, myself from my past. Could you give me an ad lib that fits your way of if this call we're doing right now was a year ago, and now it's been a year, and you're much more connected to the piece you, and the control you is almost not there at all, or maybe even completely gone, and it's brought a you that changes things or has much bigger ideas or is more abundant and more fulfilled and more youthful and vibrant. Tell me about what happened in the last year. Would you be willing to kind of ad lib as if you don't know, like as and meaning like let it come through, but if you were just to create as if it was past tense, I find when you make it that it happened, it's more of a fact. Does this make sense? So it's
Yes.
a year and you're connected to the piece you, and all kinds of things have changed in your life. What happened since the call? How did you get there? What's happened for you? And be willing to do it wrong. You can don't have to do this right and get it perfect. Just see what happens if you let yourself flow.
I became healthier. I found friends that were true friends. I leaned more into the peace of loving my children with peace and not worry.
Good.
And
Keep
life
going.
became more abundant.
Yes. Continue. I didn't mean to interrupt. Keep going.
The peace fulfilled my life, that I didn't have that continuous fight or flight in my body. And I finally enveloped peace and was able to share that peace with other people.
This is so good. You want to go a little more? I find when we go past that first wall, it gets even better.
I was able to spend more quality time with my grandchildren and be able to show them the true peace that's within me and not just a smile behind all the sadness. That it was a real connection, that other people weren't able to have such control over my life. I was able to let go of those people and not have the hurt and pain engulf me as if it were my fault. And that would bring peace to me,
Mm,
my soul, and my spirit.
this is perfect. Did you have any more? It's okay if you do or don't.
I don't.
That was incredible, especially
Thank
for someone
you.
that's never Calegoed. Like usually I'm doing a hot seat with someone who's done this a bunch. This is one of the things we do on AEP sometimes, and at my events, we all start Calegoing and do this exercise where we ad lib and you watch everyone just light up. You just did so great. I want you to know you're phenomenal. This is an incredible hot seat. And I want you to know something that we pointed out earlier that's so profound. You chase happiness, you receive peace.
Yes.
So one is available now, and it's just up to us to pay attention to it, bring it into our heart, listen to the peace that's here, listen to the silence. Even if you're in a chaotic place, listening to the peace that's in the space that holds all of this world, and we just go, okay, receive the peace, but we chase happy. So we're like, how do I get happy again? We're trying to go over there, right? It's somewhere
Right.
else, right? So this is much more about receiving than chasing, right? So this is big because your new job, which I think is every empath's biggest job, is to receive. Okay. And I want you to know that one of the things we do, if you don't mind, on our Absolutely Everything Pass, when we do a hot seat with someone, is we ask them, and we're going to do this in a second, to say in the chat something they got from this or something they learned from you or something about you that they love so much. Okay. So I'm
Okay.
going to have you, and if you want your son to help you, you're going to go through the comments in the chat in a second. And I want you to read out loud some of the things that these people say about what they got from your hot seat or what they got from you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Please share in the chat something you got from this, something you so can appreciate about Sheila and her courage, how magical she is. I want you to, can you see the chat starting to fly there?
Yes.
Okay. Would you read these out loud and we're just going to give you a second to receive this, okay?
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing, Sheila. You are powerful and incredibly inspiring. Your family is so blessed to have you. Thank you for opening your heart to this truth and to this world within you. So brave and present. Sheila is so authentic and courageous. Amazing courage. You're so loved. Your son and sister love you so much. You're so beautiful. Send you healing hugs, love. Sheila, you're such a sweetheart. Sheila, you are loved and beautiful. You are peace, and you deserve peace. Sheila, you have such a huge loving heart. Sheila, you are so brave, worthy, and special. Worthy means a lot. That was so powerful, Sheila. You were so powerful. Sheila, I'm an empty nester too, and have felt a lot of what you have been through. And I want you to know that your courage is inspiring and helpful. Much love to you. That was so touching. Thank you, Sheila, for taking the time to do that for yourself. The loving kindness face is beautiful. I love how you said, I'm going to love my grandchildren through peace, not worry. I love that for my life, and I thank you for this piece of gold. I lost one of my dogs on Monday, and I'm sitting in the most painful grief that I have ever experienced. I am in so much pain, and I feel like part of my heart has been ripped out of my chest. This call was very comforting for me in this moment. And thank you, Sheila. God bless you. Let's both remember I deserve peace. We did the best that we knew how in every single moment, and that's all we can possibly do. Much love to you, Sheila. You are a beautiful soul. I can see that in this chat. I just want to say to that person that I lost a pet too, and I do understand. I feel your pain. Thank you for being you. Thank you for contributing to love. Thank you for showing how we can shift so profoundly. That was the most peaceful Heal Go exercise. It felt so good to watch you take the time with Kyle to get your heart to your heart. You you did so great. You did so great in 2025. Sheila, you are awesome. It's never too late to find your peace. Be inspired. Thank you for your strength to show up for yourself, which then helps all of us as a collective. You are loved. Thank you, brave girl. I sobbed right along with you. Beautiful, Sheila. Thank you for your courage, vulnerability. I cried out so much grief with you. OMG, the control piece. I was you. You are me. We are we. Holy smokers, this is the real deal. Brilliant woman. I lost my mom. This was so helpful. Thank you, Sheila, for profoundly sharing your deepest feelings and allowing you to be you. You are very, very brave. Sheila, you are pure love, light, and you touched my heart so much. You have already transformed so much love to you for you. You gave me permission to grieve. Sheila, you are a miracle and helped me so much. I've been going through something similar, and now I'm with you and prioritizing peace. Happy for you, Sheila. What amazing, gentle soul you are and your son are. Thank you, Sheila. I have suffered the same fight and fight. You helped me so much.
Hi, Sheila.
Cindy, hi.
I just want you to know it'll go forever. So
Wow,
you're
I'm shocked.
what do you feel after receiving that?
I feel amazed. I feel a lot of peace. I feel like a mountain of sorrow is just poured out of me. And for other people to feel that same thing and even be touched, just that knowing that my life touched one other person makes me feel good. I'm
Well,
glad that this happened today.
yeah, you're wonderful. And you know, the bigger someone's heart is, the more they don't see it. You know that? Like, because their comparer and who they are and how they look to other people, they're not thinking of it as much. They're just open. And I just want
Right.
you to know you have a huge heart, you know, and you're just so loving and so wonderful. I guarantee you, you are a phenomenal mother. And the people that are the best are usually the hardest on themselves because they're trying to get better and be the best ever. And just want to reflect to you because you can't see the label from inside the bottle. You're magical.
Right.
And this was a very, very healing AEP call and a hot seat.
Thank you.
And when you get off, make sure you do something that brings more peace, right? So that you can process this, right? When you get off,
Right.
you're gonna turn this off. You're gonna not grab the TV or grab, you know, but like you're gonna feel the peace and process, like give a good hour of listening to silence and see if that new peace maybe helps you sleep a little bit. Maybe you can just feel held by God. It's trying to sometimes that's why we can't fall asleep, as the ego self, the control self can't control anymore. So it's louder and you're in your head and you're facing yourself at 2 a.m., you know?
Yes.
But instead, that's going. You just got to bunch out. And there's a good chance, I don't know, but there's a good chance this will help you rest in the peace and sleep better.
I believe that. I accept that.
All right, Sheila. Well, we love you. We're thankful for you. I hope you got so much out of tonight. Did you?
I did. I did. And I love you guys too. And thank you so much to the whole community and for your gift. That was more than I could even imagine. I'm so grateful.